Good morning. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Today on SportsGrid Championship Weekend here in the National Football League. I'm Craig Mish, along with George Kurtz. Of course, we'll dive into the games, the props, everything that has to do with the AFC and NFC Championship game. Can't wait to do it with you. Sam's our producer today, as always. George, for the next 2 hours, we'll dive into it. We actually have a lot of news to go over this week in terms of head coaches as well. Some big news breaking last night. We'll get to that as well. And I guess probably a good place to start here because this sort of happened, a strange breaking news on a Friday night where they usually say that's like the news dump time. That doesn't usually happen with NFL head coaches. It's usually a time where we want to get a lot of attention. Maybe the Cowboys did not. I don't know. But Brian Schottenheimer last night, George, named the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. We all should have known this because the betting markets told us he was going to be the next head coach. It was strange. He was like minus 250 about 5 days ago to become the next Cowboys head coach. We're all looking at this like, what? But here we go again. Cowboys and Jerry Jones basically saying, George, we're going to do what we want to do. This is my team. This is my hobby. I want to have some fun. And this is the guy I want to hire. And that's exactly what happened.
But when you break it down like that, that's exactly what happened. I mean, that's exactly what happened. This is his toy, and he's going to have fun with it. He doesn't care. All right? He doesn't believe head coaching matters. He has said this over and over again. It was the big rift between him and Jimmy Johnson in the 90s that he didn't think he thought anybody could be a head coach. Right? It's not true. We know that. It's disappointing, but not surprising. All right? If you're a Cowboys fan or you're an NFL fan, whatever, and you think, wow, I can't believe he hired Schottenheimer, you just haven't been paying attention to the Cowboys over the decades. All right, since Jimmy Johnson, we're talking Barry Switzer, we're talking Dave Campo, we're talking Chan Gailey, Mike McCarthy. You go on and on and on. People he can control. I make the joke about the puppets. It's not a joke. Outside of Bill Parcells, everyone he's hired is someone he can control.
Yeah, but I don't want to cut you off there, but that's where I take exception to that, George, is that I understand what you're saying, and you're right. The majority of the coaches were controllable humans. I guess that's fair to say. But I do think that people forget that Bill Parcells was the coach of the Cowboys for a few years. And I don't remember that going poorly to the fact that they have a bad breakup. I know the Jimmy Johnson one. I remember that. So is that a fair narrative, George, that he's only going to hire people? And like, was McCarthy somebody that he had under control? I mean, I understand that the narrative is out there with it, but McCarthy won a Super Bowl. Parcells had won Super Bowls too. And this is exactly fits the narrative. I get it, George. But what am I missing when people don't mention Parcells in the lineage with the Cowboys head coaches?
Well, I would have when it comes to Parcells, he had no choice. That was after 10 years of the Cowboys being pathetic. They were starting to lose interest in him. Fans were getting upset. They were, Quincy Carter, Vinny Testaverde. These are your quarterbacks, Chad Hutchinson. And the Cowboys were bad, bad, bad. He brought in Parcells because he felt he had no choice to bring this team back to respectability, which is what Parcells did. That's what started the Tony Romo era, right? The undrafted quarterback. Parcells, I guess you would say Parcells discovered him. And Tony Romo started here. So Parcells lasted a couple of years. Parcells' last game was the infamous Tony Romo fumble in that playoff game against Seattle.
I remember that.
On the field goal, right. I don't think Parcells left because of that. I think Parcells was just done with wanting to coach football here. Mike McCarthy was a definition of a guy who had no other choices. So he had to go to Dallas, had to let Jerry Jones do what he did. When he was Super Bowl, it didn't matter. McCarthy was out of the NFL. No one's dying to hire him now. Now he's not a Cowboys coach. Let you know what people think about McCarthy. And by the way, if you were just going to hire his offensive coordinator in Schottenheimer, then you should have kept McCarthy. It makes no sense here. All right, now you lost your DC, you lost your special teams coach. Schottenheimer starts from scratch here. So as a Cowboy fan, it's disheartening. It's just it's not surprising. I did not expect. They didn't interview Ben Johnson. All right, they didn't interview Mike Vrabel. Dion, there was no way Jerry was ever hiring Dion because that's someone who can say, Jerry, I'm not putting up with your crap. All right, he's got his own star here, and the media would flock to him. So he was never hiring Dion. It was always going to be someone like this. I mean, think about it. How many head coaches were interviewed this offseason, this hiring cycle? 30, 40, 50? Schottenheimer was only interviewed by the Cowboys. No one else was interested. Schottenheimer's, Craig's, his last head coaching interview, and this is not a joke, his last head coaching interview was 2006. I mean,
long time ago.
It just writes itself. It's disheartening as a Cowboy fan.
I understand.
It's just disheartening.
I understand. I guess my take, I guess my take on it is different than a lot of other people. We'll dive into the other coaches too. But last thing on this, and we could talk about it throughout the show too, is that I just don't at this point get caught up in it or sort of shocked by it. And I know it's different for you, George, because you are an actual fan of this team, and I feel that, and I get you there. But it seems to me in sports, just in general, that, and especially in the NFL, not as much in the other sports, but definitely in the NFL, is that these organizations, these franchises are worth, $1 billion. And the people that own them are worth generally billions of dollars. And you said it at the beginning, this is their toy. And I just don't care anymore. Like, they're going to do what they want to do. And it's a hobby for them. Of course they want to win, most of them. I assume all of them. But if I was a multi-billionaire, George, and I owned an NFL team, I'm not saying that I would have hired this guy, but I would do what I want to do. I own the team. It's mine. I've earned the right to make that decision, as bad as it may seem, maybe to show other people that this bad decision, I can make a good decision. And the egos from these owners in the NFL are out of control. All of them, I think, pretty much, for the most part. So that's my view on it, George. I know where they're coming from. They're billionaires with toy cars that they want to drive when there's no left turn. They're like, take a left. Whoop, I almost ruined my mic there. Oh, take a left. And that's what they do. So I don't get crazy with it anymore. That's it. That's my take on it.
And that's probably the right way to be. I mean, I put on Twitter last night, I'm a Cowboy fan. I've always been a Cowboy fan, and I always will be a Cowboy fan. I'm not going to be saying, I'm not going to root for the Cowboys anymore. I'm not going to watch the NFL anymore. That's bull. Of course I am. All right, I've got too much memorabilia in this room not to be a Cowboys fan. But I think the days of me, losing sleep, they lost and not being able to wait, that's over. All right, they're not serious about winning. That's fairly obvious. Jerry Jones is a great charlatan. All right, he's convinced everybody that's all he cares about is winning. That's bull. All right, I'm all in. Those are his words almost a year ago to the day, right? I'm all in, and then did nothing. All right, you're not hiring true head coach. You're hiring people you can control here. Like I said, don't pee down my back and tell me it's raining. That's really what it comes down to. There, you've opened my eyes, Jerry. All right, I know what you are. All right, you'll say all the right things and then do the exact. You should make it right, and it's crazy. You're making a left every time. All right, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, and all that. So Cowboys are what they are. Jerry Jones is going to do what he's going to do. You're right. He owns it. I think my thought, my last thought as a Cowboy fan is that he is 84 years old. I was hoping that maybe this would be time. Okay, I'm 84. This may be my last coaching hire. Maybe I should really hire somebody who can help run this team. Maybe I should really go that direction. He didn't, and I'll say it once again. I may be upset about it. I am not surprised. All right, yeah. Not surprising. He was never going to hire somebody.
Yeah, and listen, I understand your feeling on that, George. You'd be dead wrong. Are you not watching what the Raiders are doing? Al Davis, rest in peace, is gone. Mark Davis is doing the same thing Al Davis did. I mean, this is going to continue with the Jones sons. And again, look, you could, as a Cowboys fan, I get it. You could be upset. You could be burnt by it. But, ask yourself this question. If I was a billionaire or multi-billionaire and I owned an NFL team, would I do what everybody else tells me to do, or would I do what I want to do? Jerry Jones is the general manager. He's running the team. He owns everything. And he's sticking it to you right now, saying, this is my guy. Be right back.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today Championship Weekend. Of course, the NFC Championship, Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern, Washington. That's right, Washington. And Philadelphia, followed by Kansas City and Buffalo. We'll have previews of those games. We'll go over the odds, the props, and everything else. Coaches, let's get to this real quick before we move on to the game on Sunday. Looks like the coaching cycle is potentially coming to an end. We're waiting on the Saints to name their head coach. Everybody else has been hired thus far, unless we see a firing of some kind. Mike Vrabel is the head coach of the Patriots. We knew that last week. Ben Johnson was named head coach of the Bears this week. Aaron Glenn goes back to home in the Jets. Liam Cohen says no to Jacksonville, going to stay in Tampa. Then they fire the GM, and now he's a yes for Jacksonville. Funny how that worked out. And then the biggest one, I think, look, Ben Johnson to me on that list stands out, but the most interesting one of the week is Pete Carroll, who is at the end of this thing going to be like 76 years old if he makes it through as far as staying with the Raiders is concerned. I think, George, if I had to guess, is he probably did a fantastic interview with Mark Davis. He's a great, energetic guy in person, fantastic. And I'm guessing, George, the way the Raiders looked at this is like, look, he's probably not the long-term answer, but all Pete Carroll teams are generally okay, Like Pete Carroll doesn't coach a 5-12 team in the NFL. So I think the Raiders are kind of hoping like, all right, let's just get back to respectability. He's got good experience, of course, with different quarterbacks in the NFL, Drew Bledsoe, Russell Wilson. So look, for the Raiders, I don't mind it. And it gives the players in that locker room, I think, somebody to look up to, too, knowing that this guy won a Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, you're definitely more you're the optimistic guy in this show. I'll be the pessimist here. You're in a division with Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix. You don't have a quarterback. All right, I don't know who it's going to be. You're not going to draft low up or high up, depending on how you look at it, to get one. So good luck there. This is a major rebuild, and you're hiring a 72-year-old coach. I find this strange all around here. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree with everything you said about Pete Carroll. High energy, great coach. A good guy to get. The Chicago Bears, apparently he was in second place. All right, they didn't hire Ben Johnson. They were going after Pete Carroll, which I think might have made more sense there. And Jerry Jones actually talked to Pete Carroll yesterday, right? Or Thursday night. We heard that. That's how sure Jerry was about Schottenheimer. He went out and talked to Pete Carroll. And I imagine if Carroll said, I'm not dealing with you. Not happening. So I just find this a strange spot because of the age. I think Carroll will be great for a team that's ready to take that next step into contention. The Raiders aren't that. All right, this is a major rebuild here that even in the NFL, if you do everything right, 3 years? I mean, 3 years, and that division's rough. You guys, you got franchise. You definitely got God Mahomes. You and I may have been, going back with the Mahomes being a Hall of Famer. He's a great quarterback. All right, Herbert. All right, he's not Mahomes, but he's not that far behind. And it looks like Denver has a franchise guy in Knicks. You have nothing. I mean, literally nothing. Who's your quarterback? Russell Wilson? Are you trading for Geno Smith? I mean, I don't know, Craig. I just find this weird from the age perspective. By the time you turn it around, it'll be time to get another head coach. I don't get this.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it can happen. I think that they could turn.
So that's my only problem with Pete Carroll is that again, I don't quite understand the age thing. I think he'll be fine. And listen, as a Cowboy fan, I do wish that he would have been chosen over Schottenheimer here. But I said, Craig, for me, I just go back to the age thing. That worries me that by the time maybe he does turn it around, he might be 75, 76.
You know what? You know what I think, George? I think, look, you made good points about the quarterbacks, although Herbert at this point, I don't know that I would be grandstanding on that guy based on what I've seen. But that being said, I think you're setting your expectations way too high. Like, what did you really think the Raiders were going to be next season? If Pete Carroll comes in and does 70% of the job that Sean Payton did and takes the Raiders from, I don't know how many games they won. Did they win 4? I don't even remember. 4 or 5? If they get to 7 wins and then get to 10 the next year, I mean, that would be fantastic. And I think the other thing that you're missing, George, absolutely missing, is that you and I both know that it is the end of January. Let me look at the date here because I don't know exactly. The 25th of January. By the time we get to the 25th of February and then the 25th of March, there is a quarterback that you and I and no one else is talking about that's going to go in the top 10. It's going to happen, man. Like, this is and everyone is going to say franchise quarterback. It happens every year. I mean, Bo Nix. I mean, we could do this every single year with these guys. Jordan Love, you may remember in the past too. Is it Jackson Dart? I'm not saying it is, but that's the kind of name, George. I'm telling you now, the Raiders will draft and have their franchise quarterback, and it is not anybody that we're talking about right now. This is a fact. So I'm not like in a tizzy about that. I just don't think that I think you're seeing things the right way. I think you're setting your expectations way too high. Like I don't think Pete Carroll's going there knowing that this year they're going to win 12 games. What about the situation with this Liam Cohen of Tampa Bay? That this narrative that he got this Trent Baalke fired. Like, that seems a little harsh here. Like, didn't Shad Khan fire this guy? Like, you talk about organizations who are complaining about the Cowboys. What's the thought process there for the Jaguars? They interview a guy, he doesn't want to do it, and then he fires the coach he fires the GM to get this coach. No offense to Liam Cohen here, but like, you didn't even know his name 2 years ago.
Craig, you're right there. I'll disagree with you about the Raiders thing. I don't think the Raiders are going to suck, by the way. I don't think I'm going to be too high at all. I think they'd be lucky to win anywhere near 7 games. Liam Cohen came out of nowhere. All right. But that being said, he did sort of turn around with Tampa Bay offense. It was a strange situation this week. I don't know if we've seen this. All right. Khan should have fired Baalke before the hiring cycle started. I think that what happened is here, all these coaches were going to go, no, I'm not working with this guy. No, I'm not working with this guy. And then Khan finally said, I got no choice. Remember, Khan had a statement earlier this week or late last week that, well, if I fired the head coach and the GM, that would be suicidal. His words, not mine. All right. And then all of a sudden he does the suicidal thing here. So weird situation. That Cohen, I know I'm not going to go with you. Oh, you fired GM? Oh, I am going to go with you. I haven't seen that before. I'm sure it's happened, something similar like that. But hey, I guess in the end, they got their man and the Bucs got screwed.
The owners do what they want to do. I mean, how many lessons can we teach on this show? We could do this with every team in the NFL before the end. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, 2 teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Craig Mish along with George Kurtz. It's award season. Next week here on the show, we'll go through and recap the entire fantasy football season. That'll be a lot of fun. Of course, next week, no games in the NFL for the first time since August. Oh my gosh, we're coming to the end of the year. Feels like it just began. Let's take a look at the MVP and some potential, George, as to who can win. Pretty obvious at this point. It's going to be either Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. I've said on the show several times, I believe this is going to be a tie. I think they'll somehow, this is going to end up being voted for a tie, although you could make a case for Saquon Barkley. Burrow had a great year, so did Jared Goff. They're not going to win. It's going to go 1-2, Allen, Lamar, Allen, Barkley 3, and then I don't think it matters at that point. I'm hoping for a tie. That's how close this is.
I kind of hope for a tie, too. I think you're right. I think they both had great seasons here. It'd be great for a tie. I think if Barkley would have set the record, if he would have played week 18, I think he might be the guy here. I think that's what you need to do as far as a running back or wide receiver. You need to set a record here. I agree that I'd like to see a tie. That being said, it should be Lamar Jackson. His numbers are better than Allen's. I'm sorry, they just are. That being said, I think it'll be Allen voter fatigue.
Yeah, it could be, and it's usually the way that it goes. Offensive Player of the Year finalists. I don't know, how would this work? I mean, with the MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year, I don't know. I guess one could win MVP and the other could win this. But I feel, okay, so this is where Barkley wins this award.
Yeah, usually the quarterback goes to the MVP, and then another player wins. Another player at another position wins offensive player. It is weird. It's very strange. Jamar Chase has a really good argument for this. I think it's going to be Barkley as well. But Jamar Chase had what a season here. But for a non-playoff team, I think that's the problem there. I don't think Burrow's got a shot at this because once again, I think it'd be one of the other two guys. I'll go Barkley for this award.
All right. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This is as easy as it gets. Jaden Daniels is going to be the winner. Why don't you go 2, 3, 4, 5 here, George? Who do you got? 2, 3, 4, 5. Daniels is going to finish 1. I know some people felt it would be close. And maybe we're going to be living in the moment, remembering that they voted this before Washington beat Tampa Bay and Washington beat Detroit. I get it, but I still think Daniels is the easy winner here.
I agree. I don't see how it's not Daniels, right? Fantastic season there for your Washington Commanders. But there's been no one who's been a bigger Commanders fan than Craig, and he got it right. I was wrong on this team. Although I did win me money last week. I appreciate that. I'll go. I'm going to go Brock Bowers, or he may not end up being number 2, but he had a fantastic season for a bad Raiders team with Minshew. And, don't get me wrong, Neighbors, same thing. Brian Thomas, with Mac Jones. Couldn't do anything with Lawrence, but it was great with Mac Jones. And like I said, Neighbors with chicken cutlets. And, it was just terrible there. I'll go Bowers, Neighbors, Thomas, as far as 2, 3, 4.
All right, so Coach of the Year, I feel like it's one of two names on this list here. It's either going to be Dan Campbell or Kevin O'Connell. I think it's going to be one of those two. Sean Payton had a nice year for Denver, but when you go back and look at it, 10 wins, I don't know. Dan Quinn had a really nice year, but again, I don't think he wins. I think if you looked at it, it's usually a surprise award. It's sometimes not the best team award. It's a surprise award. So if I was going to create a surprise here, it would be that Detroit was as good as they are, or Minnesota, which was the absolute biggest surprise of the season. That kind of tells me O'Connell's going to be the Coach of the Year. How about you, George?
I read it the same way. It's usually a team that we didn't expect. Well, we knew the Lions were going to be great. They should have won the Super Bowl last year, if not for a couple of drop passes. All right, they should have been there. So I don't think it's going to be Campbell, even though he might deserve it. I mean, didn't Sam Darnold playing so poorly the last couple of games sort of tell you how good a job O'Connell did? All right, to get as much out of him as you could. But Dan Quinn, I mean, once again, no one saw Washington being a playoff team. No one saw that outside of Craig Mish. So I think Quinn's got a shot here. I said outside of Craig. Outside of Craig. I'm going to go O'Connell here, though. I think he's got more pub right now than Dan Quinn. But Dan Quinn deserves a lot of consideration.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Assistant Coach of the Year. This is tougher. Joe Brady, Vic Fangio, Flores, Glenn, Ben Johnson. Oof, tough one here. Would I go back to Minnesota here and pick Flores? I mean, I guess the feel good is always Ben Johnson. It's like the easiest go-to. Did he win the year before? I don't know. Did that already happen once?
Actually, I don't remember, so I can't tell you. And these guys sort of deserve it. Fangio turned around the Eagles defense that collapsed last year, so maybe it's him here. I'm going to go Ben Johnson as well.
All right, and then the comeback player of the year, Burrow, Sam Darnold, Dobbins, Christian Gonzalez. He's not winning it. DeMar Hamlin. Didn't DeMar Hamlin already win comeback player of the year at one point? I don't know. I think he lost and he's back again for another one.
How he lost is beyond me. He lost to Joe Flacco, who came back from being old and sucked.
So Darnold
That's
is the
what
winner
Joe Flacco
here.
came back from.
Darnold is the winner.
Yeah, and what? No, I think I'd rather have Dobbins, but yeah.
I agree, but I think it's going to be Darnold.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because Scotty, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to Fantasy Sports today here on SportsGrid. We're going to dip away from football in 2 weeks and head over to Major League Baseball, which is getting ready for spring training to open in the second week of February. So for those of you wanting off-season football content, it'll be back for you when we get closer to the NFL draft. But we do cover baseball here, and we're about to do it. But before we do that, let's take one quick look at some of the fantasy rankings for some of these players that we may be talking about in the future who are headed to the NFL draft. And a lot of you in Dynasty may be interested in this conversation. And George, it's, pretty much a guarantee, I think, that Ashton Genty is going to be a first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft. I would say he's probably going to be the only running back taken in the first round. Now, if track record tells us anything about last year, we did get Bucky Irving and a few other decent players that were rookies at the running back position. But this is an extremely hard position to take in Dynasty when you have a running back going in the second round or a third round trying to predict the future. I mean, you have Brooks on Carolina, who's going to miss, I guess, another year of time. Benson on Arizona, who looked really good, but he really didn't get a lot of time playing. And I think that's why your Genties, your Bijan Robinsons, like those types are just so valuable in fantasy, especially if Genty ends up going to a good spot. But he is the far and away best running back in a Dynasty league, I think, to target at the moment.
Oh, in a Dynasty league, he's going number one. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I do play in a Dynasty league, deep Dynasty league, 32 teams, 40-man rosters. It's two different conferences. Both conferences can draft the same players, so it's really two 16-team leagues. It's a fun league with a lot of our friends, Craig, from our Sirius XM days. That's when that league started. Jim Day started that league back in the day. Genty will go number one. So will a lot of the running backs. They'll go first. Running backs fly off the board in Dynasty because you just can't find these guys. Genty, a lot of people are going to tag him to the Cowboys at 12. And I'm not so sure Dallas does at 12, by the way, because as you said, this is sort of a deep running back class. So the Cowboys or other teams could wait. Genty's going in the first round, probably top 20 at worst. Here, I can see him going to Denver as well. I think they drafted 20 here. But Genty's going could certainly turn around a running game in a big hurry here. He'll be number one in Dynasty, and he's going, I say, no worse than top 20 as far as the NFL draft is concerned.
Yeah, and beyond that, you have risky picks here, and maybe some wide receivers would even go beyond that. The good thing is that the last image we have of those Ohio State running backs is looking really good. So Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins both will be very interesting going into the drafts. Cam Scatteraboo is really the name, I think, that a lot of people, George, are going to wonder what he's going to look like in the NFL. Like this overachieving player. He catches the ball, he runs, gets into the right system. You can see him scoring a lot of touchdowns. There's been a lot of Mike Allstott comparisons there. If you remember with Dunn and Allstott, I mean, both players were starting in fantasy for a long time, and this was a true split of time, and which was rare, by the way, in the NFL at that time. You didn't usually have two running backs there. And then beyond that, I'm not really in love with a lot of the guys there. Trevor Etienne, you could have probably said to me, George, last year, who's the number one on this list? I would have said Etienne. I mean, he came from Florida, went to Georgia, was supposed to be the star, didn't really quite work out. So for me, Genty, Henderson, Judkins, and Scatteraboo, to me, are the ones that I'll keep an eye on. And I really am curious where Scatteraboo goes. I don't think he's going to be a first-day pick at all, but where he does get drafted, to me, I'll be following very closely.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you said earlier. After Genty, we're not going to see another, I guess, Thursday night picks. No first-round pick. The next running back may not be. It wouldn't surprise me, Craig, if the next running back's not till round 3, which would be third round on Friday night. So, listen, it's changed from when you and I were younger, right? This is not a running back league anymore. They're still valuable, but it's not a running back league. Teams think you could find a running back anywhere. So they're going to want to spend their first 2 picks on your receivers, your skill positions, your pass rushers, your cornerbacks. All right, that's what just generally goes. The 2 positions that no one values as much nowadays, running back on offense, safety on defense. It's just the way, even linebacker on defense, by the way, sort of the same thing. Since we don't value the running backs anymore, we don't value that tackling linebacker anymore. Because it's just not the same thing. It's a passing league. You need cover guys.
All right, let's take a look at the receivers here. And for those of you who didn't follow Arizona football all season, I don't blame you. But Teteroa McMillian was fantastic and will be a great pro. He'll be a first-round pick. I think Burden Egbuka, and Isaiah Bond are all going to be first-round picks. And then I don't know. I'm not sure after that. I mean, good players here, don't get me wrong. Trey Harris at Ole Miss, Stewart at Oregon, Travis Hunter, best player in the country. He's going to play offense and defense. Restrepo at Miami, Kyron Lacey at LSU, very fast player there. And look, I think personally McMillan, Egbuka, those are two players I watched closely. Bond was fantastic all season long. I mean, this is where you're taking your shots, George, that you're going to get a contribution. We really didn't get as much as we thought from the first wide receiver taken this past season in Marvin Harrison Jr., so maybe there will be some pause in dynasty leagues with taking McMillan in the top, let's say, 3 or 4 picks when the dynasty drafts begin.
Well, it's sort of, the good and the bad. All right, as you said, okay, Harrison didn't have the chemistry with Kyler Murray for whatever reason here. Dunze, not so much there with Caleb Williams. But Neighbors was really good with the Giants with no quarterbacks, right? I mean, that worked out well. Brian Thomas in Jacksonville, that worked out well. So listen, I don't want to say it's a dartboard throw. I think it is more than that, but you're hoping here. You're hoping in the right situation things work out here. The receiver, he has good chemistry with the quarterback from day one, learns the route tree, learns to be that hot read, so he doesn't get this quarterback killed here. But it's sort of a guessing game of where these guys end up. Let's just say for giggles here, you look at the draft board here, McMillan, the earliest I think he would go would be 6th to the Raiders. And right now, that wouldn't thrill me. But like I said, maybe they do end up signing. They trade for Geno, or they sign Russell Wilson, or maybe Kirk Cousins ends up there, as we talked about during the break. Maybe that'll be there, so that'll help them a little bit. Hey, Cousins got to go somewhere. There's no doubt in my mind, Cousins is starting with someone next season.
Oh yeah. And by the way, all 5 of these quarterbacks will too. All 5 of these quarterbacks going to go in the first round of the NFL draft. I don't care what they say right now. By the time the draft comes,
take the over 2.5.
Over right now. Easiest bet. Well, I don't want to say it's easy. Okay, betting is not easy, but all of these guys are going in the first round. Okay, all of them. Ward, Sanders, Milroe, Ewers, and Dart. We do this every year, and then by the time the draft comes, some guy named Josh Allen is going in the first round. I am telling you now. Take a picture, mark it down, write it in a book. Now, you know what? I will say this. I'm a little skeptical that Ewers goes in the first round. But I'm telling you now that Ward, Sanders, Milroe, and Dart, Jackson Dart is going to have some big hands or something going into the draft, and he's going to move up all the way. I mean, I see it coming. I've seen this happen so many times before. I mean, Kenny Pickett, didn't he go high? So, again, all these are great, especially 2-quarterback league dynasty. Oh, my gosh. Like, you are jumping all over Ward and Sanders. I think they're the number 1 and number 2 pick in those kind of formats.
I believe the over-under on quarterbacks taken in the first round is 2.5. I agree with Craig. I'll take the over. It's not that I think they deserve to be taken. That's all over the place. That's what it was. But I don't think all 5 are going, by the way. That's just too many here for guys who just aren't very good. The reason why you're going to have a better chance to get 3 or 4 going in the first round is because of the CBA, where if you draft them in the first round, you get to keep them the extra year, that 5th year. It's so important here, which is why teams will trade up. And I said, let's just say for giggles, the Raiders don't take a quarterback at 6, but they might trade into the first round at 28 to take a quarterback and give up their second-round pick at something else because, hey, we get the guy for a 5th year, so we get an extra year before we have to make that decision on a long-term franchise contract. So I'll definitely take the over 2.5 quarterbacks in the first round. I think Milroe is definitely going first round, so that'd be my 3rd guy anyway. And I agree that either Ewers or Dart likely get there. I'll take less than 5 though. I wish I could sort of squeeze that 2.5 to 5 and go right at the number 4. I probably can't do something like that, but that'd be cute.
Real quick, tight ends. Tyler Warren is the Brock Bowers of last year. I don't know that any of these other tight ends are going in the first round, George, but Warren will.
Agreed. For Warren's your guy you want here. The others probably are later on.
All right, we'll be right back with more fantasy sports today, right after the break.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, Two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Well, we know that the Super Bowl, we are going to cover the hundreds of props that are available, and that's coming in 2 weeks. But to say that the AFC and NFC Championship don't come close would be false. I every year am shocked to see how many props are available for this game. It almost feels like a Super Bowl, George. So we thought we would go through some of the props. We'll start with the AFC and go through the AFC Championship props for the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, etc. So let's get started here. A number that you never would even consider going under on the past 7 years. Patrick Mahomes' passing yards. You would never even consider 249? Oh, come on. The only way the Chiefs win is by going over on this one. Now, hasn't been the case this year. They haven't been winning with Mahomes. It's been more or less the defense. But the prop is 249.5. George, do you think that he hits this one against a Buffalo defense that is bend but don't break in order to win games?
Well, one thing I certainly agree with you. You said it earlier. I don't think they win if he doesn't. If he's throwing for 240, I'm just not so sure they're going to get the job done here. So I think he needs to hit this. Remember, they did play Buffalo earlier in the season. He threw for 196. Now, that was in Buffalo. The weather is fine, by the way, on Sunday in Kansas City. It's going to be 31 degrees. But Kansas City in late January, that's beautiful here. I'm going to say he gets the over. This game, by the way, I think they played 7 times in the last, 4 or 5 years, these two teams, including the playoffs. He's hit this number 5 times. All right, and these games are usually high-scoring games. For what it's worth here. Now, I understand different teams here. All right, Buffalo's not the same team either. All right, they don't have the weapons they used to have here. I can't go under. All right, either I'm taking the over. It comes out. I'm taking the over, or I'm leaving it alone. It's that simple. I'm not going to bet Pat Mahomes under 249, but I don't feel great about it.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. Passing touchdowns. You can get plus money if Josh Allen throws more than 1.5 touchdowns on Sunday. I think the issue is, George, is that when they get close, he's just running the ball in, man. I don't know that I love this bet at 1.5. I, by the way, don't want to, on a prop, almost ever lay that juice at minus 168. Folks, you got to find a better bet out there than to be laying minus 168, I think, on that. So it would be a pass for me.
There are a million props. There's no way I'm laying minus 168. Maybe you're parlaying it with something else. That's fine. But straight up, as you said, there are 1,000 props you're going to be able to find here. You can find a better number here. Same situation. I'm going to take the over on this, Craig, because it's plus 128. It's nice, but you already said it, and I agree. I would rather take a bet. You could find this, by the way, in some books, that over 2.5 touchdowns. That includes rushing and passing. I would probably rather have that. This way, listen, he throws one, runs in two, I'm fine.
Right.
And I think that'd be a better bet for him. I think he'll get 3 touchdowns here. So I would probably go for that. Once again, if you're wondering at the first matchup, which really I don't think is a great way to look at this thing here. But the first matchup here, what did he do? He threw for only 1 touchdown, so he wouldn't have hit this. And he ran for 1, so he threw 2. So you wouldn't reach the 3.5 either, of a 2.5 either here. I'm going to take the over, though, because I like the plus money here. It'd be a small bet, nothing dramatic.
All right, let's go to the running back position. Touch on Kareem Hunt, 35.5 rushing yards. The Chiefs have been pretty coy about who they're using at running back. It feels like sometimes it's Pacheco, and then you're not paying close attention, and then, oh my gosh, there's Kareem Hunt running in for a touchdown. Like, you forget about him for a minute. 35.5 rushing yards for him. I think I like the under a little bit here. This does feel a little high. I have to go back and look at what Hunt did. I know he had a decent game last week, but I'd have to look at what he did recently. It doesn't feel like he's hit this number a lot.
Well, I'm looking at it now. He's hit 3 of the last 4 games, but don't get me wrong. It's ugly. 44, 20, 55, 45, 16, 15, 68, 6. I mean, they're ugly numbers here. His the other game, the last game against Buffalo, which remember, he didn't have Pacheco then. All right, so I was just told him he had 60 yards, 14 carries there. So I said I like his attempts more than I do his yardage total, but I would probably lean towards the over. But odds are, once again, I'll have other props I'm going to like more. I'm not going to take this. I do like his chance to score a touchdown probably more than I do Pacheco. If I'm going that direction, I'd prefer Hunt there.
All right, now let's go to Xavier Worthy. And Worthy's been a big part of their game plan. There's no question about that. 58.5 receiving yards is his prop. Not juicy, minus 130. Rushing and receiving, minus 113. Boy, now that I know that it's rushing too, I may like the over here. I mean, give me Worthy for an 8-yard run and 50 yards receiving. 51 I'd have to have, actually. 51 yards receiving and 8 yards rushing. I'd like the under based on my math. That's why I'm hosting this show and not a teacher.
Good to know that Craig's not poisoning our youth. Worthy's I'm going to tell you a little funny little story. If you follow Gabe Morency on Twitter, you already know here. Gabe, when the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs made, football related, pure football related.
It's
after the draft of Worthy last year, Gabe said he was mad that the Buffalo Bills allowed Kansas City to draft Worthy with the trade they made. Because I can't wait until Worthy catches a game-winning touchdown pass against the Bills in a championship game next season. Well, here we are. And Gabe might eat his words here if that were to happen. We know Worthy's going to get his chances on the ground. They're going to run that end around with him. They do it every game at least once here. So that's why the rushing yards are important here. I don't think he gets this. That being said, they're going to take a deep shot or two with him. And he's got speed to burn. Maybe he does get behind with the fence here. But I kind of lean the under here. But it'll be a scary under because, like I said, they will throw up some deep balls trying to get Worthy the easy 6 points here.
All right. Last week on the show, I'm pretty sure one of my most emphatic calls was just give me Kelsey on everything, on DFS, on yards, on touchdowns, everything. Boy, that was a good one, right? So I'll double down here on an anytime touchdown at plus 120. I mean, it was very obvious how much of the game plan he was part of last week. I don't see that changing. And I would, again, take all my Kelsey props. It seems like they just save him for the postseason.
I have nothing to add. Craig's right. All right, I'll go with Kelsey as well. He's going to score again. They look for him. For the love of God, Buffalo, you got to cover him. Houston didn't. I don't know. Houston lost track of him a couple of times here, which I don't understand. He's their only main offense. And I believe by the way, tight ends do pretty well against Buffalo. So, yeah, give me Kelsey.
Yeah, it does remind me a lot of Gronk at the end of his career with New England and Tampa Bay. All right, we'll be right back.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, two teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We got another hour to go here on Fantasy Sports Today. Coming up in hour number 2, we will take a daily fantasy look. We've got 2 games to review. We'll do it. AFC Championship, NFC Championship, and of course, play our little game of buy or sell. So that is coming up in hour number 2. We'll pivot away from football here for just a minute. For the first time, it feels like since August. Yes. Oh my gosh, let's do that. Because I thought there was a fun story to talk about because it really made a lot more national news than I thought, where this young kid, less than a week ago, by the way, opened up a box of baseball cards, George, and pulled that Paul Skeens card. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Topps had a new promotion this past year where every rookie wore a patch that said MLB debut on their debut jersey. And then after it was done, they got the patch, they put it into baseball cards, players signed it, and it was a true one-of-one card. Now, the most coveted one was definitely Paul Skeens' card, of course. And the Pirates put a bounty out there for it, George. In fact, they offered this person or persons, whoever pulled it, 30 years of season tickets and a bunch of other stuff. Because, let's be honest, I mean, sitting in a suite with Livy Dunn, like, that's nice, but who really cares? Getting a couple jerseys from Paul Skeens, that's nice, but those are not going to be worth what the card is. And they already somehow graded the card. I guess they sent it immediately to PSA, or like the redemption was already there, ready to grade. It got a PSA 10 on the auto and on the card. And the family, it can't be the 11-year-old kid, the family ended up turning down the Pirates' offer, and they're going to end up selling it. They're auctioning it at Fanatics. So you want to take a guess as to how much this will end up going for when we hit March or April? I think it's going to be in their spring auction.
Yeah, this was a fun little story. Now, first off, I'll be the first person to tell you, I have no idea who Livy Dunn is. Okay, so I don't know what that does for me. Listen, anybody who knows me is not surprised by this. Okay, after the 90s, I sort of lost track here. 2 season tickets, home plate next 30 years, meet greet Paul Skeens, couple of autographed jerseys, softball game for 30, private tour of Pirate City and Lecom Park, along with Livy Dunn. I don't know Livy Dunn, a singer, actress, I imagine, something like that. Whatever. Oh, damn, a gymnast, I'm being told. Oh, sorry, I had no clue. By the way, that would have been far down the list of guesses.
He was in Star Wars.
Skeleton Crew sucks. All right. I mean, I'm that guy, by the way. Craig knows this. I'm as big a baseball fan as I love baseball. Always have. It's very romantic to me. The only thing my father and I ever agreed upon, my father passed 30 years ago. So, baseball's always romantic. But, if I'm catching a home run ball, I'm not giving it back to the player or the team. I'm not. I'm selling it. All right? That's my mortgage. That's my kid's education. It takes care of the family and all that. So I would have done the same thing. I would have had to put the card up for auction. I would have liked to have given it back. I really would have. But in the end, the Pirates want to pay me for it. I mean, you can certainly afford it here. We already discussed this. All sports owners are billionaires. They can certainly afford it. But no, I would have sold it too. But the offer was kind of nice.
It was nice, but for somebody living in California to have season tickets for the Pirates doesn't really make sense. They would have to get the Dodgers involved or the Angels involved or the Padres involved. So do you want to take a shot as to how much it sells for, George? I know you have no clue, but do you want to just throw a dart here and take a shot? I'll take mine. If you want me to go first, I'll go first.
The over-run is $1 million? Is it going to go that high?
That's way too high. Come on, George.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Not going for $1 million. No, that's way too high.
Is it going to go for more than $100,000?
Yes.
Okay, because I would sort of do the math there. 30-year season tickets, I could sell those. You wouldn't get the money at one time. $250.
I think that's fair. That sounds right. I was going to say 200,000. That seems about right. Yeah. So, and by the way, that would be the highest of all of these cards that are the one of ones. Nobody else will come close on that. So, maybe a quick pickup of $200,000. Also, remember graded PSA 10 for the autograph and for the card. All right. So, as I said, coming up in hour 2, we'll do a little DFS preview, our final real DFS preview of the season. Honestly, with 2 games, AFC Championship, NFC Championship, and then play a little buy or sell. That's what's coming up next here on this edition of Fantasy Sports Today. As a reminder, next week's show, we will be on the air, but it will be more of a recap of the season type show because there is no football next week. And then, of course, Super Bowl Sunday, it will be both crews of the FST Saturday and Sunday crew on Sunday morning ahead of the big game in New Orleans. So let's take a quick time out. We'll hit some NFC Championship props up next on Fantasy Sports Today.
It's Championship Sunday. Can rookie sensation Jaden Daniels clip the Eagles' wings on his way to Super Bowl history? Then, 2 teams that know each other all too well face off in the AFC in the Bills and Chiefs. SportsGrid has you covered all day Sunday. Start at 7 a.m. with FST, followed by Pro Football Today. And stay with us for in-game live game day. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because Scotty, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP of the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP of the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.